on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. You guys, as you guys can imagine, on top of today being a wonderful day, especially to be an American. On top of that, you can imagine you saw the thumbnail, you read the title. You know this video is going to have me a little happy. So let me explain for those of y'all who are unaware. Sig Sauer or Sig Sauer, I'm pretty sure I've heard a couple of people say that's how it's actually pronounced. I really don't care, honestly. But Sig Sauer essentially has finally been held liable for their P320s going off. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, what is this about that, Sig Sauer, their P320s are going off? Well, there have been tons, not tons, maybe tons is a bit more of an exaggeration. There have been dozens, though, dozens of lawsuits against Sig Sauer for their P320 going off by itself in its holster. There are several cases, some of them have been documented on video, and each time Sig sits here and either blames the gun owner, blames the trigger they originally put on it and offered to, a voluntary trigger upgrade, or better yet, they just settle. They settle out of court. Now, one of the crazy things about this, right, and I found this absolutely insane, is while there have been dozens of lawsuits, some of them aren't even just from singular individuals. Some of them are like from agencies, but regardless, with how many lawsuits there have been, Sig has been able to avoid any real issues or just any real problems with it other than having to write a check. And finally, they've been held liable. It makes me happy to hear. They have been held liable for their P320 going off by itself and have been, what was the amount? It was 2.3 million, I believe it was. It was a pretty hefty little amount. Sig, the entirety of all these cases have sat here and blamed everyone other than themselves. They even refused to call their voluntary trigger upgrade a recall. When in all reality, what is that? That's a voluntary recall. Oh, if you want to send your gun in and we'll fix this up for you. Yeah, no, dude. What? Like, if there was no issue with the P320s in the first place, they would have never done a, again, voluntary trigger upgrade, which is really just a recall. If the P320 never had any issues, we wouldn't be seeing as many lawsuits put against them as we have seen. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like all of them are just from the P320 actually going off. I'm sure a couple of them are from negligence. I'm sure. I know how people are. I'm not sitting here saying that every single lawsuit that happened was 100% because of Sig Sauer. However, I am saying that on top of there being multiple cases where it would have been impossible for negligence to have been the case, they now have officially been 100% held liable. There's no more arguing about this debate about whether the P320 is actually safe or not, considering Sig got held liable. The argument is over. All the Sig fanboys, they're probably punching the air right now. They've probably been doing so for the last week. I get it. I'd be pretty mad too. However, in the end, we have to sit here and finally accept the truth. You guys have to accept the truth that the Sig Sauer P320 is not safe. Now, am I saying that it's a bad gun? Probably for carry, yeah, bad gun. Would I own it? I mean, maybe, I'm a collector, so I wouldn't sit here and say no to owning it, but I will say I would never keep around in the chamber on that gun by any standard. There are, like, in the end, Sig fanboys just have to accept it now. And of course, there have been other lawsuits brought up on other companies. For example, Glock has had lawsuits as well. And guess what? In those lawsuits, it was proven negligence. In the end, Sig finally has been held liable. I keep saying in the end, but I'm just so happy about this. You guys don't seem to understand, because all the Sig fanboys came after me when I dropped my video talking about why I wouldn't trust the P320. All the fanboys came at me. And you know what? I don't blame them. You know why? Because I just talked down, and not even talked down, I just said the truth about either their home defense gun, their everyday carry. I mean, I just basically dumped on it. But I dumped on it with the truth. You see what I mean? Sig has been held liable, guys. There's no more arguments about, well, maybe this was negligence, maybe they just settled because of this, maybe that. Nope, there's the truth. Sig has been held liable. Now, does this mean that Sig makes bad guns? They made a bad model, sure, but I truthfully am a pretty big fan of a majority of Sig's hammerfire models. They're pretty reliable. You haven't seen any of those issues with them. I mean, I think in the end, this kind of goes to show Sig that when you innovate a little bit, you either need to do a lot more testing than what was actually done, or maybe if it ain't broke, don't fix it, much like how Glock has been doing. Now, am I sitting here saying that Sig should never innovate? Not in any way, shape, or form. However, I am saying this is one of the few times they really tried innovating. They went from hammerfire models to striker fire models with their P320 and their P365, and their P320 is going off on its own. There have been cases where they've argued, there have been cases where Sig has actually argued where there's video evidence of their P320 model going off in a cop's holster. There's several pieces of video evidence to support that. But they argued that this happened because the hood of the holster wasn't up. Now, here's my problem with that, guys. Anybody who, knows really anything about holsters, just because the hood is down doesn't mean that the gun isn't secured. There's still the retention of friction. You actually have to pull the gun out for it to, for the trigger guard to not be covered. They've pulled a lot of really just odd stunts where they've sat here and essentially blamed their own customers who got hurt because of their faulty products. And now it came back to bite them in the rear end. I couldn't be happier, guys. With that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Yes, I know this video was going to be shorter, but I had to, just spread the good news, if you would. That Sig has finally been held liable. They are being held responsible for their P320 model going off on its own. With that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And whether or not you, there's no whether or not you agree with me, guys. That's the great thing about this video. The Sig fanboys punching the air right now, because guess what? Sig has been held liable. Whether you like it or not, they got held liable. Go ahead and make sure to comment down below your thoughts on it, and make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.